Hi, I'm Linda Whitworth from the Alberta Barley Commission. Today we're going to make Zucchini Barley Bulgur-Stuffed Tomatoes. This is a wonderful dish, especially late in the summer when tomatoes and zucchini are ready in your garden. It's fantastic with barbecue, and it's one of those wonderful dishes you can probably make all year round because zucchini and tomatoes are available in the grocery store all year round. We're going to start by heating 1 tablespoon of oil in a saucepan and adding 1 chopped onion. We'll just let this cook until the onion is transparent and gives off that wonderful oniony fragrance. This will take about 3 minutes. At that time, I'm going to add our barley, give it a stir, and let it saute for just a minute or two. That brings out the wonderful nutty flavor that barley has, especially when you've given it a bit of a saute. One of the things that I've just learned is zucchini and tomatoes are great side by side in your garden because they correspond with one another and each one helps keep the other healthy in the garden. So they're good things to grow together. Okay, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of either pot or pearl barley to our dish. Give that a little stir just to bring out some of that nutty flavor. And then we're going to add 3 cups of vegetable stock. You can use chicken stock or vegetable stock, whichever you prefer. I like to use a low sodium one. It helps keep our sodium content down, and yet it still infuses the flavor of the stock. If you're using it in a vegetarian meal, you may prefer to use the vegetable stock. There we go. And just smell that nuttiness coming out of our barley. I'm going to add our 3 cups of vegetable stock. We'll bring it to a boil, then turn it down, cover it, and simmer for 30 minutes. Our barley has been simmering for about half an hour. I'm just going to add 3/4 of a cup of bulgur. Bulgur is a wheat that has been cleaned, parboiled, and ground, and gives a really nice contrast to the barley in this recipe. So I'll just put the lid back on and we'll leave that for about 12 minutes. Our 12 minutes are up. Our bulgur and our barley is cooked nicely together. And so I'm going to add 1 cup of chopped zucchini. Try and keep your zucchini in as consistent a size piece as you can so that it will cook at the same amount of time. We're going to put that in with our bulgur and our barley, give it a little stir, and while that's cooking, for 3 minutes, I'll show you how to prepare your tomatoes. I have some done already, but what we want to do is just cut the top off the tomato, and then I like to take my knife and just loosen the membrane around the edges a bit. And then I'm going to take a spoon and just remove the center from the tomatoes, leaving that nice firm outside shell of a tomato. Once we have the tomato all scooped out, we're just going to put a little bit of salt inside the cavity there and turn it upside down. The salt accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it draws some of the moisture out of the tomato so your tomatoes don't get all soggy while they're cooking. And the other thing it does is it does add some nice flavor. Your leftover tomato, just put it in a container and use it the next time you're making spaghetti. You can even freeze it like this and pull it out of the freezer when you need it. So our zucchini is just about cooked through. We want it just barely cooked, but still firm, because it will continue to cook in the oven when we've stuffed our tomatoes. Next, we're going to add our almonds and our thyme. And a trick I want to show you while the zucchini is finishing is when you are adding dry herbs to any recipe, put them in your hand. We need about a teaspoon of thyme. That should be about the right amount. Put them in your hand and release the oils of your dry herbs by pressing your thumb against the herbs in your hand. A really cool trick is smell your herbs before you release those oils, and then smell them again afterwards, and you'll notice a phenomenal difference in how much flavor and how those oils have been released, and the flavor will come out of your herbs. So we'll add our herbs to our pot, stir in our toasted almonds. Another trick, when you toast your almonds, I turn my oven on to 350 degrees, put my almonds on a pan, once the oven is preheated, I turn it off and then put the almonds in. This saves burning a whole lot of almonds. The almonds will give it a really nice crunch when we stuff our tomatoes. Now I'm going to start with the tomatoes that I've already cut because the moisture has been released in them. And we're going to just really firmly pack our barley bulgur mixture into the tomatoes and then set them on our baking sheet. Quickly get these 4 all done. The recipe makes enough for 6 to 8 tomatoes. We call for beefsteak tomatoes, but use a tomato that you think is a nice serving size. I think 1 tomato about this size is perfect to serve with your barbecue dinner. You don't need another starch, and you're also getting some lovely vegetable. So here's our last one that we're going to do this morning. Get it nice and full. And then I'm just going to take some white cheddar cheese, sprinkle that on top. The white cheddar is nice because when it melts and becomes golden, it gives a nice contrast to our tomatoes. Pick up some of this cheese here, make sure we've got them all nicely covered. I have preheated my oven to 375 degrees, and I'm just going to pop these in the oven for about 15 minutes. The cheese will melt and go a little golden, and then they'll be ready to serve. Here we have our zucchini barley bulgur stuffed tomatoes, hot out of the oven with their nice golden cheese crown. Use any kind of cheese that you have in your refrigerator. Don't be restricted just by a recipe. I love this recipe because tomatoes, zucchini, and thyme should all be available in our gardens at the same time, but they also are available year-round in the grocery store. Join us next time at gobarley.com for more information and recipes. Delicious.